Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1:30 and we're looking around and looks like we have a majority of the members here. If we have Sheriff Lombardo, you'd like to start? I think we got everybody else, sir.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
All right, so I'd like to call to order the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security Committee on Finance. Today's date, March 3rd of 2022 at, I said March 3rd, I'm sorry, June 2nd of 2022 at 13:30 hours. So we will kick this off by the roll call. And who's facilitating the meeting today, David? Is Samantha or Melissa here?
Sherry Brennan will be facilitating, sir.
Okay, Terry. Terry, can you go ahead and kick it off with the roll call?
Yes, sir. Sheriff Lombardo,
Present.
Greg Herrera,
Here.
Michael Brown,
Here.
Christopher Lake,
Here.
Carolyn Levering,
Here.
Aaron Lynch,
Here.
Stan Smith,
Here.
Dave Fokerson,
Here.
and for the record, Samantha Laddick.
Here.
Sir, you have quorum.
All right, great. Thank you, Terry. Sorry, we'll move into agenda item number 2, public comment, discussion only. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair, which is myself. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. And the admonishment on here, please be advised that the YouTube stream will be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you'd like to present public comment, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. And that number being 669-219-2599. Any comment on your end? Dave?
No, sir. Appears no public comment here in Carson.
Terry, do you see anybody on the line?
I do not, and we do not have any written comment.
So are we required to wait 60 to 90 seconds, or can we move on?
This is Samantha. You can move on.
Okay, thank you. All right, that will close the public comment. Agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes for possible action. And the minutes will be for March 3rd of 22, the committee meeting. Any comments or concerns from the committee? Not, can I have a motion for approval?
Sheriff Lombardo, Greg Herrera, no comments or concerns, but I'd make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 3rd, 2022.
Carolyn Leverett, second the motion.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
against, nay. Hearing none, the motion passes. Moving on to agenda item 4, review of the federal fiscal year 2022 State Homeland Security Program, SHSP, and Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI program proposal with the intent to formulate a recommendation to the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security. And this is for discussion and action. I will kick off the agenda item. Is there any concern by any of the members online reference the documents that were provided and or the process of approval or what was actually approved? Hearing none, I have a couple questions of you, David. If you want to provide response, I have a couple questions on some of the items there.
Absolutely, sir. Go right ahead. And we got Chief Samuels also, so if it's in the UASI, you can back me up on those.
Okay, Chief, that's good. So one question specific is, the City of North Las Vegas, this is item number 401374. And it is the security fencing. David, are you able to give me some clarification, or Chief Samuels, on what exactly that is?
I could take that, Chief Ogerson. Sheriff, that's around their main headquarters, and their EOC is stationed there. They have an open walkway from their transient population on the east side that goes into a building, and there is no security for the fire admin or their emergency operations center.
Okay. So a question to that is, David, to you, is that allowable?
At this point, our staff does feel it's allowable. There'll probably be some further review with the Department of Homeland Security once we submit the grant application to ensure that, but right now we do feel it is allowable.
Okay. Thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure, one, is it allowable, and two, is it not considered supplanting? Have they met the guidelines associated with that?
Sheriff, this is Carolyn Levering for the record. I might be able to shed some historical light on this item. This type of security protection measure has been allowable in the past under the Homeland Security Grant Program. The building I'm in is one example of that. The walls and fencing that secure the City of Las Vegas Emergency Operations Center were paid for out of UASC funds back in, I want to say 2007 or 8. And it's one of the few construction-related projects that Department of Homeland Security actually allows under this grant.
Okay, good. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate that clarification.
You're welcome.
And then moving on to US, let me see here. It'll be letter B as in Victor. Clark County Fire Department truck air compressor modular trailer. The only thing I noticed it was missing under the core capabilities. Are we going to identify that prior to submittal?
Sir, Dave Fogerson, for the record, yes, we are. We're working on putting together all those investment justifications and making sure we've got all the pieces tied together on that. Some of the pieces are missing because we only allowed 1 week for the applications just because of the 30-day timeline the federal government provided. So normally we get 60 days. This year they gave us 30 days. And so staff is now working very hard to find all those missing pieces and plug them in to make sure we're good.
All right, appreciate that. So if you go down to all the under the line of demarcation under DEM funding, were we able to move money from deobligation to fulfill item S and AC as far as the community outreach and the robot for the dog robot?
Sheriff, this is Billy. We did do that. We had about 134,000 that was DEM from, I believe it was fiscal year 19. And we did use those funds. LVMPD took a little bit of a deduction on some of the previous projects that the dog and that community resilience program could fit in. The only 2 programs that did not fit in, sir, was the SNAC, the coroner's office, and Clark County Fire Investigators took their cameras off the agenda.
All right, thank you. And then one last item under UASC. I realized it was deobligated, so it would be UASC rank 16. So has the guidelines adjusted for the ability to use Homeland funds for communication equipment? I remember the last time that I was the chair of this committee, we could not do that. Has that changed?
Sir,
Go ahead, Dave. You go.
Sir, it is allowable in certain expenses. We have purchased some communication equipment with it. All communication equipment before it gets purchased does get reviewed by the statewide interoperability coordinator to ensure it meets the guidelines that we push forward. And one point on the deobligated funds, we used the UAG group with the UASI stuff to also list where they wanted to use those deobligated funds. We're going to push that another couple months out just to make sure that we get this process completed first, and then we're going to start working on those deobligated funds. But Chief Samuels did it, and the group down there did a nice job identifying where they want those funds to go once we get to that part of the grant cycle.
Okay, so, but I guess the question, David, a little more in line to my concern is I've never seen us have the need to fund snack items. So is that something they need to change in their feed schedule, or is, why are we going in that direction?
Sheriff, I can probably speak upon that. In the southwest part of the valley, they can't keep up with the growth, and so they haven't really been able to plan for that. So like our fire communications, they don't have it. This was a late project. We weren't really sure how it was going to work. And as you can see where it ranked, the preparation from the snack side wasn't really there. They're going to have to go back to their board and see what else they can do to try to get some of that communications on, at least on the fire side. And we figured if it's going to happen in the southwest part of the valley, it's going to eventually happen to Henderson. It's going to happen to Northtown, as they all use those same towers. We were just trying to get ahead of it, but we'll do a little more better homework on that kind of project, get through in the future.
So are we going to be able to fix it with the internal funds, or what's the answer to the problem?
My guess is that it's going to be a fee increase is what I would imagine they're going to do, but that's speculation just on their side, just because they don't have the funds for capital.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. And then if we move into the state homeland, a couple questions on the new items, item 8. Bear with me, and my print is so small and I'm getting old. I'm having trouble. I understand that request is for a body cameras via the Board of Regents. And now, is that considered supplanting, as the NRS obligates all entities to supply body cameras, and then now we're looking at Homeland Security funds to do that? Does that meet the guidelines?
Sure, Dave Fullerton of record. There's 2 parts to this grant. They're asking for tourniquets, and they're asking for body worn cameras, as you stated. So planting pertains to the point that you have it in your budget, and then you use grant funds instead of your budgeted funds instead of that. If they can say that they don't have budgeted funds to use for that, then it's not surplanting. So as long as they haven't budgeted for it and then take it out of their process and then use this to purchase it, it would be an allowable expense. And part of that comes back to the 911 fees do allow them to purchase it as they went to the Washington County 911 board to get those funds. But it is something we try to discourage because the FCC is on us as a diverter state for using those funds for services other than 911 system. So I think this fits well with the non-surplanting, provided that it wasn't in the region's budget for them.
Okay, yeah, David, you know, that's a tricky moving forward, because you know we're all are required to have body cameras across the board, and obviously that equipment will reach time life, and I'd hate for this board to be completely funding that mechanism in the future. We have to make sure we're aware of that.
100% agree, sir.
So moving on to item 11, Nevada State Police. I understand this money was obligated for an exercise. Is that a regional exercise? Is that strictly for state police, or is it all of law enforcement? And what is the intent of this exercise?
Great question, sir. The exercise that Nevada State Police is proposing is at one of the casinos at South Lake Tahoe, or State Line, Nevada is actually the right term to use. And they are going to involve all the regional partners, not just on the law enforcement side, but also the fire and EMS side, and do training, and then use one of the venues up there for an exercise to test out. And one of the things we did do in INRAC is we had another grant application that was fairly similar to that from the Airport Authority. And so we connected those folks yesterday. So that way Nevada State Police, the Reno-Tahoe Airport Authority, and then the Washington County Sheriff's Office can all have a conversation about how we move forward. So that way we're collectively making sure that this is a collaborative process. But all the partners involved in that did indicate that they're going to involve all the law enforcement agencies and probably even some bi-state cooperation there as well.
Okay, are they able to do it at this point? It looks like it got funded at 50%, so are they still have the same design? What was curtailed out of it?
Sir, Dave Fogerson for the record. We cut some training money out of that. And it was training that the state of Nevada already provides on our emergency from the Division of Emergency Management and items that we can bring in from our federal partners. So they can
Okay.
still do the exercise. The training is just a little duplicative to what we have. Maybe not be as easy to do at their sites, but we're going to work through that and make that work. Interact was really trying to make sure that we funded as many people as we could. So before we actually voted on the items, we asked everyone to cut down their bare bones minimum, and then we voted on the items. And that was the voluntary donation from that project manager.
All right. And then is your office expected to do the coordination on that, David, or are you going to be able, or they have the resources, the autonomy to do it?
We do have a staff member that's involved in that project as one of her assignments, but state police will also be the lead agency on that. They have a lieutenant that just moved from Southern Nevada to Northern Nevada that is taking the lead on that project. We'll have some engagement and involvement to make sure that the coordination, collaboration, and training and find the right instructors. Our staff member, Lenita McGee, is phenomenal finding the right people for these exercises and the training classes. So that will all come out of us, but absolutely in partnership with everybody else.
Great, that's good. All right, that's all the questions I had of the committee / board. Is there any other members of the board that have any questions or concerns reference both the UASC and the state? All right, hearing no questions, this is an action item. Can I have somebody formulate a motion, please?
Sheriff, this is Carolyn Leving for the record. I make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Urban Area Working Group and the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee to move forward as provided before us to the Commission on Homeland Security for full approval.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Terry, were you able to record that?
Yes, sir.
All right, do I have a second?
Chris Lake will second.
All right, all in favor, aye.
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 All against, nay. Hearing none, the motion passes as stated by Carolyn. Moving on to agenda item number 5, status of the Homeland Security Grants Program, HSGP funds, discussion only. And David, are you prepared?
Yes, sir. And actually, I'm going to turn this over to the new Chief Financial Officer we have here at the division, Jared Franco, to talk about what's in your packets.
Good afternoon, everyone. You are all sent out the spreadsheet that belongs to agenda item number 5. In this spreadsheet, you'll see all the open grants for HSGP. It contains UASC and SHSP. It has all of the financials belonging to each of those grants. At this time, if there's no immediate questions, please don't hesitate to call me offline with anything you may have.
All right, any questions of the members? Jared, I appreciate you putting that out as an agenda because it's something that we quite often call upon as we move through these processes and balances, blah, blah. And I think it's very beneficial to have that information compiled like that. So this is not an action item. So if there is no concerns or comments, we will move on to item number 6, notification and reallocation of Homeland Security Grant Program, HSGP funds. Discussion only. David?
Thank you, sir. Dave Fogerson for the record. You have 2 items, one that was emailed out this morning that was a single-page spreadsheet. And these were the items that we talked about at the last meeting that we were going to deobligate, reobligate, and the amounts and where we sent them to after doing a public process to ask people to put in for those items. So this daylights those projects. All the asks were below $100,000. So by a long ago process through the Homeland Security Commission. They allow the state administrative agent, the position I hold, to approve these, and all the grant requests were for under $100,000. So we're able to make sure that we did not return any federal funds from those 2 grant years by doing the reobligation process. The second part you have in your packet that was emailed out to you yesterday or the night before does show all the project change requests for both time and for money. One of the items that concerns me a little bit with our process is we do a very public process for looking at all these items. Everyone talks about them, but then once we approve them, then we leave it to staff to work with that sub-grantee to change the project as things come up, allow them to move money around, maybe make different purchases and time requests. So we're working on a process here internally that we tighten that up a little bit. I want to make sure we daylight all of this at each committee committee on finance and on the Homeland Security Commission too. So we get the full picture of what we're doing. You don't just get the public process to start with, but we get the public process in the entire grant process. And that's the end of my report, sir. Any questions?
All right, any questions from the board? Any concerns? David, I appreciate what you guys did with this, because this record makes it easy to recall upon. And it shows us whether, as administrators of the Finance Committee, shows us whether the IJs and IJ managers are doing what they say they're going to do, so we can have that knowledge moving forward when we make decisions on rankings and or obligation of funds. So I think that's very beneficial to all of us. So thank you in that.
Absolutely. We got a great staff here working their butts off on this stuff.
Oh, okay. Are you asking for more people? Is that what
Yes.
Never miss an opportunity, right?
Never,
All
sir.
right, we'll close agenda item number 6, moving on to agenda item number 7, public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item or agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. All right, I will kick off public comment by commending the Resilience Committee, the efforts they made during the budgeting committee meetings and the IJ meetings, because from my understanding, the discussion was robust. There was conflict present during the meeting, but everybody came around consensus, and I think we did a good job of distributing the funds accordingly and where it is needed to ensure the safety of our state. I want to say that publicly and commend each and every one of you on the phone if you participated, and if you didn't, for your people participating. And I don't have any other comment from myself. Do you have anybody on the line or written, Terry?
There is no written comment.
David, anything you want to add to that?
No, sir, just appreciate everyone working very well together. Like you said, the UASI group met for 9 hours and the statewide group met for 5 hours. And just the conversation we had and being Nevadans and sharing that money back and forth, what's most appropriate, not just because it's my pet project, it's very easy to see how the collaboration occurs within our enterprise of emergency management, Homeland Security.
Good. That's the way it's supposed to work. All right, so we are, David, do you mind calling me after we conclude this meeting today? I have one quick question reference our meeting tomorrow. All right, so this will close the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security Committee on Finance. And anything else I need? Is that a motion item?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, adjournment's a motion. Can I have somebody form a motion for adjournment?
Greg Herrera, for the record, make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Oh, it's funny how everybody jumps on that. All right. We have a second?
Brown, second.
All right, this will conclude our meeting. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.